So good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the SSE Arena here in Belfast. I'm Brian Lacey. I'll be hosting the press conference this evening. I'm sure you join me in welcoming our panel. We've got Scott Coker, David Green, Paul Redmond, Liam McGeary, Norman Park, James Gallagher, Dominic Wood and Andy Young. Let's just try this one. Kirill Medevsky. Did I nail it? Medovsky, there we go. So I'm sure you're welcome here. I'll ask a few questions to start with, then we'll open up to the floor. If you want to have your questions prepared and ready, we'll go from there. So let's crack on. First of all, we're a couple of days away from this fantastic event. We could call it your second date, BAMMA and Bellator. Yes? So let's talk about the first one, Mr. Coker. What was your experience there and your first sort of taste of the Irish fans at a live event?
You know, it's unbelievable. I traveled all over the world, and it's the fans here are very passionate. And I've never been to a stadium where there's actually singing and cheering going on during the fight. So it was quite fun.
Fantastic. And as far as what you saw from both cards, what were you most impressed with? Obviously what's come off the back of that is some signings from BAMMA going on to Bellator. Were you anticipating seeing that much talent in one night?
I mean, that's one of the main reasons why we're traveling internationally and getting out there, seeing the rest of the world, and you know, identifying the UK territory and Ireland as a hotbed for martial arts talent. There's a lot of fighters here that deserve to you know, to travel around the world and fight all the big fights, and David was gracious enough to come into his house, and so to speak, and so thank you, David. And we get to see some of the best fighters, and then you know, we'll do fighter sharing, we'll do fighter swapping, and you know, it's been a great relationship.
Fantastic. And from the BAMMA point of view, David, how did you feel it went as far as running the event, and also two promotions for the fans to enjoy? What was your reaction to that? Because you've been used to them coming just to see the BAMMA event. How do you feel it went with them coming to see both BAMMA and Bellator?
Well, obviously, it was our fourth time in Dublin. It's part of the Irish adventure that we started about 2 years ago. So it's been a great story coming to Dublin in particular, and the fans, the way they reacted to us. So Scott and I had talked for a long time about doing something together, and it felt like a great opportunity. You know, the last show of the year in Dublin, and you know, we were confident we were going to do a good show from BAMMA's side, but you know, the Bellator card and what Scott brought to the table was just a little bit of magic dust for the end of the year, and I think it was just a great night for the fans, I think, to see all of those fighters come under one roof. It was just a great celebration of MMA at the end of the year, and fortunately I think it worked out really well on both sides, hence back here for another term.
Date number two. One thing that seems to be happening when you come here, it's constantly evolving what you're doing with the sport, not just here in Ireland, but how people can view it as well. The Unilad deal was huge. From what I understand, over 3 million viewers on Unilad alone. I mean, what was that like as far as what feedback have you had as far as new fans, new eyes on the sport, new eyes on the promotion of BAMMA?
Well, obviously, I mean, we come from a background of broadcasting, so we always want to get as many eyeballs on the show as possible, and you know, fortunately we're part of the Viacom Spike family in the UK, and then obviously onto Channel 5 for highlights now and again, but we just thought we'd, you know, push the boundaries a bit with some Facebook live broadcasting for the last show, and we went in partnership with the Unilad, which was a fantastic partner for the prelims, and graciously 3, but it was actually about 2.4 million viewers, which we were over the moon with, and yeah. That'd be good. But you know, and I think that worked really well. And then, as I say, we're trying that out again this Friday, and then the viewers can catch the main card on Spike UK in the UK, and then all of our other international broadcasters.
Wonderful. We're also doing this live on Facebook as we speak, so we are going to interact with some of the fans on Facebook at the end of the conference and get some questions up for them as well. Let's talk to some of our fighters. Mr. Liam McGeary, welcome to Belfast. First of all, it's been a roller coaster of a ride getting here. The post has changed yet again with a new opponent, and this is your second one now. How happy are you just to have a fight on this card? Because like you said to me before we started this press conference, this is almost like a hometown fight. Fans from the UK and close to here can come and watch you do this, and to still be on the card, how important is that to you?
Very important. I've got a few friends coming over. I don't want them to have a wasted journey, and it wouldn't be a wasted journey, we just enjoy Belfast and drink, but I'm glad that I get to put on a show. I've been training hard for the last 8 weeks for this fight. Someone needs to be stood in front of me to take what I've got to give. You know, I'm glad I've got this big, durable guy here. He can take a good few punches, so it's going to be a very, very good show.
Brett McDermott has taken the fight out of retirement, 6 days in retirement, and he's stepped back in. But he's well known to the BAMMA fans, the UK MMA fans, as someone very tough. Mr. Koch, you might know him from the Rising fight with King Mo. Out in my opinion, did the best out of any of the opponents up against King Mo there. So he's tough, he's durable. He's also a different body that you've been training for. Does that affect you and your game plan going into the fight?
Not really, no. I mean, I'm training to fight anybody. You know, I've been training with big guys, little guys, slim guys, long guys. It makes no difference. You know, a fight is a fight. I'm ready to go. So at this stage, it really doesn't make no difference who stood in front of me. You know, I will be ready, and I will be ready to throw my hands.
This is also coming off the back of your first loss. There's the cliche, you learn a lot about a fighter when they're bouncing back from that experience. What has changed, if anything, in your fight camp or mentally to prepare you for getting in the cage yet again?
I didn't train as much as I trained last time. You know, I was doing 4 times a day. I was tiring myself out. I was dragging myself from one training session to the next, to the next, to the next. Leaving my apartment at 6:30 in the morning, not getting home till like 8 o'clock at night, and then getting up again the next day. You know, I didn't do that. I trained sensibly and smart. I trained in the morning, and I went home and I had my rest. I trained in the evening. I let my body recover from what it had just put itself through for the last 4 hours during the day. You know, when you hear fighters are training 8-9 hours a day, you know, it really isn't worth it. You know, it's just, you've got to train smart nowadays. And again, I'm getting a little bit older in this game, so I can't put myself through what I was doing when I was 22 years old, you know?
Fantastic. Moving on to our main event for the BAMMA card, Paul Redden takes on Norman Park. Massively anticipated. This also nice that you've worn matching suits almost for this evening's afternoon. Nice to see you both, by the way. This has been something that must have been on your radar as far as a matchup for a very long time. I'll go to you first of all, Paul. You've both been aware of each other's careers. There's a lot of respect between the two. But is this something that you saw coming maybe earlier in your careers?
I think sort of anyone in their weight, you just have to keep an eye on, you know. And I think sort of when the two of us got let go from the same promotion, it sort of made sense for the fight to happen, and especially in Ireland, you know. So we've got 2 Irish guys, main event in Ireland, you know, it sells the fight itself, and everybody knows the way the two of us fight. So yeah, it's going to be a cracker.
You mentioned the way the two of you fight. Has there been anything in particular in your preparation for this that you've had to focus on with an opponent like Norman?
Yeah, just the whole southpaw thing, you know. Norman's he's got really good takedowns, really good sort of ground and pound, good ground game, and he's a southpaw, you know. So I think that's the sort of trickiest bit that's going to come into play for it, and then the rest we train for anyway, you know. But I think the southpaw thing has been sort of what we've been working on the most, you know.
One more question. There's you got back with your debut in the BAMMA cage last time. Tough fight, 3 rounds. Must have been good to get back in there, and also to get those 3 rounds under your belt. First of all, how was it to get back in front of the Irish fans? And also, what did you take away from that performance?
Yeah, you know, Chris Stringer is an unbelievably tough opponent, you know. And I said to another reporter and interviewer a couple of days before that fight, I said, I actually need 3 rounds a day. You know, I was coming back in after maybe 15 months off of competition, and you go out and you get a quick 1st round submission or a knockout or whatever it is. It's a wasted camp, to be honest, you know. So Chris gave me 3 hard rounds, and the ring time is just going to pay off, you know.
Fantastic. And Norman, saw in an interview you did that you've changed your training up as far as going back to what you used to do, what you got you noticed in this sport. More aggressive striking was one thing in particular. Is that something that's been a big change in your camp and in your mindset coming into this fight?
No, I think mostly it's, I mean, compared to my last fight, I think it was the sparring was the most important thing. You know, that's something I neglected a bit more. But for this camp, I put the rounds in. That's the most important thing. As long as I was getting a good rounds in with my teammates, I don't really see any problem at all in terms of getting my timing down, on point. But I know Paul's a great lad. He's a great competitor. Good everywhere. I think he's one of them lads. He's similar like myself in ways. His striking's actually better than what is shown in the fight. So I'm prepared. I'm prepared for a fight on the feet. But one thing they'll know about me is I'm going to be there for 15 minutes, But if a finish comes, I'll take that. But I'm prepared for 15 minutes like always, I've got solid chin, and I'm feeling pretty solid everywhere. So I think that I think the fight's going to be on the feet for the majority of the fight until someone decides to take it down to try and steal the rounds. But whoever implements the game plan perfectly is the boy who's going to win on the night. So may the best man win.
You talk about the importance of sparring. Obviously, a lot of your teammates fighting on this card. There's a good bit of momentum with your gym as well. We're in Northern Ireland. What does that mean as well? What does that add to training and also to the pressure of the fight on Friday?
I'm happy. My teammates are getting the publicity that they deserve. You know, I've been training with them for, you know, like there's Reece there, there's Andy Young, there's Glenn. You know, these lads. I watched them grow up in the fight circuit, and they're killers. You know, and they're getting opportunity. They maybe don't get the publicity that some people get. You know, but I tell you what, one thing's for sure: they come to fight and they come to finish. Reece is a killer, so I'm not just talking just because he's my teammate. You know. He's a killer, so really watch out for him. He comes for the finish, good cardio, really good getting up off his back. You know, I really got to work hard now to keep him down there. So it goes to show that these lads are coming on really, really well. And Andy, who's, you know, they look at Andy's record and they think, oh, he's 10-8, he's terrible. But you know, look at his last 7 fights, and people can argue that he won that fight against Rani. So in my eyes and many other people's eyes, he's the BAMMA champion. So it's good to see him get his opportunity against, he's fighting a tough lad from England. So I'm looking forward to that fight. And then Glenn, he's getting his second fight, professional fight, you know, so he comes to bang every time. So I'm happy that my teammates are actually getting an opportunity to, you know, raise their profile on a high platform. So.
Fantastic, thank you. And Kirill Medovsky, nice to meet you, sir. Is this your first taste of British soil? Is this your first time in this country?
Yes, it is my first time in this country.
Fantastic. You're taking on one of the rising talents, a fighter with a target on his back. Lots of people want this fight. You've got it. What does it mean to you to have this fight against James Gallagher?
I need my
Translator, I apologize.
אני חושב שזה קרב טוב בשבילי, זה רק ביזנס, אני באתי בשביל ניצחון ונראה מה יהיה בכלום.
It's a good fight for him. It's his business. He come to win, and I think it's a good opportunity for him.
Fantastic. And James, what did you know about Kirill before this fight was signed?
I didn't know much, but he said it's a good opportunity for him. I think it's a good opportunity to get his head caved in.
What have you seen much of his fights? What in his fighting style are you worried about, if anything?
No, I'm not worried about anything. I'm coming prepared. I know he's a good jiu-jitsu and a good Thai boxer, but it doesn't matter where it goes, I'm winning, and that's that. There's no mistake about it. I'm coming here prepared. I'm focused on me. I'm not focused on him, and I'm going to win. I'm focused on winning. That's the only thing that's on my mind.
Let's move on to our title fight as well. Andy Young, coming off the back of another title win in another country. What is that? Is that your 6th or 7th title fight in a row?
Losing count now. I think I said 5th.
5th, there we go. I'm rounding everything up at the minute. There we go. There was talk as well, Dominic Wooding undefeated, only 3 fights, but you said maybe this is too early in his career. What exactly do you mean by that?
I mean, the type of fights he's had, the guys have been nobodies. You know, he needs to fight someone with a bit of experience and a test, you know, and I'm definitely going to test him from the very start, put it on him, see what he can do, but he's not ready to weather the storm, I can tell you that.
And Dominic, get your response to that. You've had 3 fights. I think in all 3 fights they've not even added up to 5 minutes. You've been that destructive within the cage. What are your thoughts on this and what Andy says as far as you're not being ready for this fight?
He's going to see on Friday. I'm 100% ready for this fight. And talking about experience, I've had 11 amateur fights, 3 pro fights now. So obviously I'm coming into this fight well prepared, and I feel like he's underestimating me a bit. He'll see on Friday, because I'm not playing games, and I'm going to take that title. And listen, mate, you're gonna be losing in your hometown. I'm telling you.
We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Bring your
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. He says he wants to knock me out in the first or second round, but
Oh, I'll take whatever, mate.
listen, once I touch you, once I touch you, you're gonna want to grind me out and wrestle. Talking about you want to knock me out in the first or second round. We'll see. Listen, I don't know how them T-Rex arms are gonna touch me.
I've actually got pretty good reach, you know.
No, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't.
On that note, we're going to open up to the press. If you've got a question, we've got a roving mic going around. If you want to raise your hand, we will bring the mic to you. Any questions?
My question's for Kirill. Obviously, you didn't know who your opponent. Well, you weren't announced as an opponent for a long time. But do you think coming off 2 losses fighting James is the best decision?
הוא אומר, אם אתה חושב שאחרי 2 הפסדים, לקחת יריב כזה זה רעיון טוב.
זה לא משנה לי איזה יריב, אני תמיד בא להילחם. גם ההפסדים שלי זה מלוחמים ממש חזקים, אני לא נלחמתי מול ילדים. היריב האחרון שלי היה ג'ורג'י, והיריב לפני זה היה בטופ 100 בעולם מצ'צ'ניה, עם 5 ניצחונות ברצף. אז אני לא חושב שזה משהו שמשנה בשבילי.
It doesn't matter who the opponent is. He come to fight. His last 2 fights was with a good opponent, so he doesn't care. He just come to win.
תגיד שזה גם לא המשקל שלי. אין לי בעיה להילחם גם במשקלים יותר גבוהים.
And it's not his weight also. He's fighting in a smaller weight.
Any other questions? If you raise your hand, we'll give you a...
Question for Norman. Obviously, you've competed at one of the highest levels in the game, but how do you feel the competition compares here in BAMMA?
Well, I'm fighting Paul, you know, so he's my only competition at the minute. Paul's good everywhere, you know. I'm not underestimating him one bit. I know wrestling and grappling is his strong point, and you know his striking probably don't show as much as I think he's actually good at. But his last fight really impressed me. You know, I like the way he mixed up his striking with his takedowns, kept Chris Stringer guessing the whole time. And you know, you can argue, okay, right, Chris was off for so many years, blah blah blah, but maybe ring rust come into play, you know. But I seriously thought he just had his numbers straight from the first bell. So I'm only prepared for Paul, you know. I'm not really thinking about anyone else after this, you know. One thing for sure is I'm not looking past him like I did my last opponent. That's one thing for sure. So if I come in on point, I believe I can beat anyone, to be honest, you know. I train with some of the best fighters in the world. Bellator lightweight champ also, I trained with him. So I got no problem jumping in here and competing against any of them. None of them whatsoever. So they know against me you got to knock me out. To finish me, you got to submit me to finish me, because I'm always going to be there for the full 15 minutes, 25 minutes if need be. If I'm tired, I'm still going to keep pushing, you know, because I've got a strong heart, I ain't going to stop. That's one thing. You can beat me all night long, I'm still going to be there. So I'm prepared for a 15-minute war against Paul. That's what I'm prepared for. I believe I'm fighting the best Paul ever, so in my mind, I'm focused on him 100%.
Any more questions? There's one over there just for us. Thank you.
This one's for Liam. Has the change of point twice disrupted your training in any way?
No, because it was, I only found out this week that it was all getting changed over, so I was preparing for Chris. He's 6'5". Then I found out I was fighting somebody 6'1", so then I just figured that I'd just punch a little bit lower. Now I'm fighting somebody 5'11", punch a little bit lower than that, and now I can knee him as well. So it's, mate, a fight's a fight, you know. I come prepared. We train hard, so it doesn't make no difference what size they are. It's on. You know, the cage door closes, and we punch each other in the face.
Do you know much about your opponent, or does it matter?
I watched a little bit of tape just before I got here, but I mean, I seen it on the floor and I need to know. You know, he's a big savage-looking dude. He's coming out of retirement 6 days ago, so he's probably been sitting there drinking and having a little relaxing and enjoying himself. You know, fair play to him for taking this fight. You know, because a couple other people have been there and they're like they're turning the fight down. I don't know what's been going on, but this guy he's turning up tomorrow or tonight whenever he gets here. We're going to put on a show for all the Belfast fans, and they're going to get the main event that they deserve.
Thank you. Question for James. This is your third fight now in Bellator. How do you feel? Do you feel like you've evolved since turning pro and then getting onto the big stage?
Yeah, definitely, especially the last show in Dublin, it was like, do you know what I mean? Even though it was like co-main event, but I feel like I held the whole event on my shoulders there. It was like, and you see when I walked out, like there was a whole arena standing on their feet for me, and I had to go to London and do all the media, flying out like 4 in the morning, like 24 hours, no sleep, doing all this media stuff, and then coming back after train and keep on top of it, and I felt like that fight made me grow a lot as a fighter, and especially then when I walked out there, and then if you walk out on that ramp and you see like the whole place just stand on their feet cheering for you, and especially being so young, only 20 years old, that can be a lot, but I feel that I handled that like a champ and walked out there and did what I had to do, and I felt like that I grew a lot as a fighter in that fight, so I feel now in this one I've found my feet, and I feel like it's time to go out and put on a proper show now, and I feel like this is the one that I'm going to do it on.
And your gym, SBG, has a bit of a reputation for breaking records. Do you see any records in Bellator that you're going to break?
100%. That's what everyone's like, oh, you're going to be like the next Conor. I'll be disappointed with myself if I achieve what Conor has achieved. I want to do better. I don't want to, he's done that. I want to do what hasn't been done before, and that's my goal in this game. And that's the thing, people haven't got the balls to come out and say it, but I feel like I've got the balls to come out and say what I'm going to do, because everyone's scared of the big fall. They're like, oh, you're going to put yourself out there and have a big fall. Well, fuck the big fall, I'm coming out there and I'm getting the big reward, and that's what's happening.
A question for Scott then as well. Obviously, if you just look around, there's so much talent from Ireland and the UK. Do you think you bring Bellator back here more often?
I mean, you know, we made a commitment to come here 3-4 times a year. We have another fight on May 19th in London. As you guys probably know, we just had a press conference yesterday there. And so, you know, Bellator is owned by Viacom. Viacom owns Channel 5, and they own Spike UK. That's where we're broadcasting on. That's where I think David broadcasts on. So you'll see a lot of MMA and on the terrestrial channel there, as well as the Spike UK cable channel. So as far as places where Bellator will go consistently, I mean, we're going to obviously be in the United States. That's where we're based out of. But other than that, I think we'll come here the most times out of any other country this year and next year and beyond, because the ownership group really enjoys to have Bellator come here and provide content for its channel. So it's a company mandate from the top down at the highest level, and Viacom is committed behind the sport, and they're going to grow it like nobody's business. So it's a good thing for us that are in the MMA business, and the fighters as well. So, you know, we can provide a great opportunity for a lot of fighters this year and next year and beyond. So it's a good thing.
Any more questions from the floor? Just a couple more for Norman and Paul as well. Obviously this is a big fight. What do you see, I'll go to you first, Paul, what do you think is really on stake here as far as who moves forward and taking the victory? What does that really mean as far as your career?
Yeah, I think sort of the winner goes on to do bigger and better things. The loser sort of stalls out for about 9 months, and the reason I say 9 months is in MMA I find you don't get ahead anywhere unless you're on sort of a 3-fight winning streak, and that's going to take the space of about 9 months, you know, and that's 3 fights back to back more or less, you know. So I think the winner goes on to bigger things. The other guy just stalls out and has to fight maybe where he's at for another year and then sort of pick things up from there. So yeah, there's a lot of stake. Plus the world title too, you know.
Plus there's a lovely little bit of jewellery to the end of it as well. Norman, same question to you. How do you see that? As far as what's at stake, not just the title, but obviously the repercussions of winning or losing this fight.
There's a lot for sure, definitely. You know, the last thing one of us wants is a loss in the record, you know, because Paul's won one fight since, you know, the big show, so have I, and this is like who goes on to that 2-fight winning streak. And then, you know, there's a good bit of, you know, you got a bit of advantage, you know, where you want to fight next. So there's a lot at stake, you know, and as the fights get closer, there's a lot more tension gathering up. I know we're friends and stuff like that, but setting that aside, that's all set aside when we step in there. Who wants to win? Who wants it more? And that's basically what's going to come down to. Who really wants to push to the next level? You know, a lot of people say it's you're fucking done. That's it. Just because you leave the UFC, they seem to think that that, you know, it's all over. You're finished. It's totally bullshit. You know, look at great fighters moving on to Bellator, moving on to big things, getting paid good money, living the life. You know, traveling the world, doing shit that fucking people would love to do, but they sit and talk smack all over fucking Facebook and all this other social media bullshit. So for me, this is just a journey, you know, the same way everyone else up on this stage here, it's just a journey. We love this sport, everybody loves the sport, you know, and it's hard to take a loss yet, you know, you learn more for the losses, sometimes you do, sometimes you don't, but I fought some real tough boys, and I'm telling you, some of them are mostly jacked up on steroids, but other than that, you know, I've held my own with some of the best wrestlers, strong wrestlers in the world. So coming into this fight, I'm confident that I've got the ability to beat Paul. Likewise, Paul feels the same. So, as Paul said previous, it's who's going to execute the game plan perfectly. You know, and I feel whoever does that right and's got the timing down right is the lad who will win the fight. But when shit hits the fan and nothing's working, you just got to swing for the fences. You know, it's like a fucking street fight. Your corner just shouts street fight, and then this is when this different side comes out, when, you know, your back's up against the wall, you need to keep pushing forward. And I feel like when the going gets tough and that needs to be done, that's something that I can do, you know, that's something that I know is deep inside there. Then it doesn't matter the weight, you know, I can move up to welterweight and fight, no problem. It's actually easier, you know, I won't have to cut all this miserable weight, but other than that, I'm a tough motherfucker, and that's it. So.
Also, in one little snippet there, I like that. Will you be bringing a present for Paul Redmond at the weigh-ins?
A what present?
A present.
A present? No. Well, I know he kind of got matched. So I seen him. He pushed up a picture on social media about the suit, and then so I got one. You know, these guys contacted me and said, "Do you want a new suit?" And I was like, he says, "Do you want this one here?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's not too bad." Until I realised, me and Paul's like we look pretty similar, but you know, I make it look good. You know, I could sell that a bit better, you know. But after Saturday night, you never know who's going to have the busted up face. Well, let's see who can sell it then. But you know, I'll set all the smack talk aside. I just say, may the best man win. You know, that's truly it. May the best man go in there and put on a show. But, you know, plus another thing, I'm sick of people saying you're boring this, fucking boring that. You know, man, when you're fighting people who stole fights as well, like Rustam Kobalov, right? Tell me an exciting fight he's ever been in, okay? Gleason Tebow, tell me a good fight he's ever been in. The other lad I fought, Trinaldo, I beat Trinaldo in his fucking home country in Brazil. He's ranked 13th in the world, okay? He knows I beat him. He knows at the end of the fight, he says to me that you won the fight. Okay, fair enough. There's a loss on your record though. That other gimp from Brazil, what's his name, Leonardo Santos, they robbed me of that one as well. What's he ranked? Like 15th or something in the world. So there you go, that goes to show where I'm at. So fuck the rest. Fuck them. That's fucking all right.
You both look good in my eyes. Dominic, let's talk to you again for a second. You've mentioned about Rani Sahade after this. Is there any part of you that's looking past Andy Young? I mean, what as far as skill sets do you see as holes in his game that you're going to take advantage of on Friday night?
No, of course I'm not looking past Andy Young. Obviously, I called him out for a reason. I called him out because he's one of BAMMA's top flyweights, plus the division in BAMMA. The flyweight division in BAMMA is not too strong, so obviously he's contracted to BAMMA. So I thought to myself, let me call out Andy Young because I've been trying to get matched. I was meant to fight Ryan Curtis twice. That fell through. So obviously I was getting really frustrated. So obviously I just thought to myself, listen, let me call someone out. And Young's one of the guys. He went over to Ukraine and won a world title, which I think is good for him. coming off a loss from Rani, his previous one. So I thought to myself, let me call him out and fight him. Like stylistically, I feel like I'm a dangerous matchup for him. Stylistically, I'm a southpaw, and I'm just very. But my style is different. My style is very different, and he's never fought anyone that fights like me, and he'll see Friday night.
Andy, this will be your 19th walk to the cage, is that correct? To get the maths right on one of the things at least.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
19th walk, this is his third professional fight. Do you remember sort of where you were 3 fights in, and can you see any resemblances in you at that stage and what he's doing now as far as calling out fighters like you?
Yeah, I mean, you want to jump on any opportunity to get yourself out there and get a name for yourself, so I think that's what he's doing here. I mean, it's for him anyway, it's a great opportunity, and you know, regardless when he walks away with a loss, you know, he's still gonna have got the, you know, the opportunity here to fight for a world title, you know, on such a big stage. So it's, you know, it's good for him that way. But no, I mean, my hand's gonna be raised at the end. It's as simple as that.
Okay. Any more questions? We've also got these social media questions that we'll go to before we close up. Are you ready for somebody?
Yeah, we've got a couple. This is for Scott. When will Bellator have live events from the US on live UK TV?
That seems to be a very hot topic lately, but you know what? The time frame is challenging, and we do a lot of our fights on Friday nights, so Spike UK tends to air them on Saturday night. But we've been talking to them and trying to get them to, you know, understand that like this is a, you know, it's an instant world anyway. So, you know, why don't we work something out? But I think we're definitely headed in the right direction. But I think it's gonna take you know, couple fights to get there.
Perfect, and that was from Johnny O'Dover, so thank you for your question. Redzer, Paul Redmond, has Redzer got a spot on his mantelpiece for Norman's foot? And that's from Diarmuid O'Bucala.
I don't know about that. I think whatever way this fight goes, I don't think it'll be won in the first or second. Either way, I think it's going to be pushed into the third round, and I hope it's a tough fight. So yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Perfect. Broad O'Flaherty would like to know, are you planning another Dublin show before the end of the year? It's for either Scott or for Dave.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Dublin's almost a second home or even first home for us at the moment. We've been there 3 times last year, had a fantastic time. It's a great city, it's a great place to do events. The fans really respond well. We'll certainly be back at least a few times this year.
Good stuff. And another question, this is from Christian Gary. When it comes to the BAMMA or Bellator double events, will there potentially be a BAMMA event in North America or future double events with cooperating promotions should this become successful?
To be honest, we're very European focused at the moment. We're looking to break into new markets in Europe. Obviously Ireland was the first step for us, which I feel like has been very successful. The co-promotions with Bellator have been fantastic. As I say, I think it just adds a little bit to the event and certainly gives the fans a lot for the money, you know, to come along. As far as North America goes, there's no real plans to do that anytime soon, but maybe I can persuade Scott one time to send some boys over and see what we can do, but nothing on the near horizon.
Perfect, thank you very much. And Leona Moran would like to ask James Gallagher, what are your predictions for the fights?
For the fight or for my fight?
Maybe just, you know, for the other fights on the cards. You know, do you have any fights that you're looking forward to, or?
Yeah, Sinead Kavanagh. I can't wait to see her win. She's an absolute animal, and I feel like she's going to go in there and get a nice clean knockout in the first round. She's a different level, and I feel like she's going to go on and be the next Bellator world champion from Ireland. I feel like she's going to be the first Irish person to get the world title for Bellator. She's a different level, but I'm looking forward to all the fights and especially my own fight. I can't fucking wait for that. That's the only thing in my mind at the minute.
Super, thank you very much. And we have one more question. This is for Scott. Scott, how close are you to having James Gallagher as the main event? And that's from Ron Butler.
You know, that's something that we'll take on a case-by-case basis. Obviously, James is very popular, and he's young, and you know we want to make sure that we're not putting him ahead of his pace. So, you know, that's going to be on a case-by-case basis.
Thank you very much.
Perfect. Okay, any more questions from the floor before we close it out? We will be doing stare downs. That will do it for us. Thank you very much. I'm sure you join me in thanking our panel of guests here this afternoon. We'll clear these tables and then we'll give you the opportunity to do some photos for the face.